Hi and good morning. Um, let's take a breath just real quick before we get into what I want to chit chat about. Uh, One of the neat things about being a potter is that you learn how to sort of center yourself before you get rolling with your stuff because you need to focus. And the act of making pots is very soothing after you kind of get past the frustrating part. So, anyway, so if we take a breath, 4 counts in, hold it, and then 4 counts out. 2, 3, 4. Do that a couple more times and then I'll get to chatting. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, um, which is 99% of our population, I would imagine. My name is Shelly. I run Shellhawks Creations, which is a micro business that makes ceramics and clay sculpture and all of that. I've been fortunate enough to have been juried into 2 international shows. My first show, I won a prize, which is pretty nifty, and that's for my sculpture. I've made a little bit of a name for myself in the Halloween community by making Halloween folk art. My jack-o'-lanterns are pretty awesome. But in any case, I'm just a simple potter. Mostly I make bowls and cups and plates and teapots and stuff like that. I've had a lot of stuff on my mind in regards to our world, and I wanted to share some of these thoughts with you because I think that I have something to say about what's going on that might help people focus their energy a little bit better. I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a Buddhist nun, I am not a spiritualist or anything like that. I'm just a person, I'm just a simple potter. So I'll tell you what I'm doing today. Today I've got a cup. Here's a cup. It's actually kind of a mug-ish thing. I mean, look at look how big that is. And this is, for those of you who are potters, this is Amaco's A-Mix, which I actually got off of Amazon because I'm not sure where else to get the A-Mix and I haven't looked. But since it's a cup, this has already been trimmed and stamped. Where's my stamp? There's my stamp. Shellhawks Creations there at the bottom that you can see backwards. And so the cup needs a handle. So what I've got here is I've got this little reused plastic thingy. And believe it or not, that's vinegar. And I mix a little bit of vinegar with some clay scraps to make a slip. And I also have the cap of my little jar filled with it, and I've got this soft but beat up old brush that I use to brush on all of that stuff. And I've got my handy dandy needle tool, and I'm just going to go to town on this. Now, I am a putterer. I am not somebody who's the super fast potter. I like to kind of putter. It's my piece. What I do here is my piece. So I'm going to call, anytime I do anything like this, if I ever do another one again, I'm going to call it Pots and Thoughts. So that's what I'm doing today. I've been thinking a lot lately about this phrase that I heard a while back, and I really wish I could remember who originally said it. Because I would be more than happy to give credit for it to the person who deserves the credit. And the phrase is, how you treat other people is about you, not about them. And I invite you to consider that for a quick minute. I know that people behave badly. We all know that, right? We're grown-ups. We get it. That's kind of, unfortunately, that's life, right? And while we know that other people behave badly, hurt our feelings, hurt us, um, to a degree, we can choose how we react and respond to that. And I say this as a person who is very definitely 100% not perfect, who has been and continues to struggle with reactivity. And I, I want to be better, so this is something that I would want to volunteer as a process for me. I'm not coming here from an ivory tower or from on high saying I'm perfect, I got this down, because I most definitely do not. I don't. But as I said, I wanted to sort of share this with you, so that maybe this is something that you can incorporate into your thought processes. So I'm making up, by the way, I'm making up the slip right now. So how we treat each other, how we treat other people is about us, not about them. Now, I'm not trying to advocate for not having boundaries in any way, shape, or form. I'm not advocating that as people we let people stomp all over us and treat us badly, abuse us, denigrate us in any way, or anything like that. That's not what this is. That's not what this is about. If you're in a situation where obviously your life is not in danger, obviously, I would like to put that out there, and you have someone who treats you badly, whether it's a loved one or a complete stranger on the street, I think what most of us can agree on is that it's counterproductive to pour gasoline on the fire and engage with someone in a way that that brings out more bad behavior and gets us into an aggressive loop. I think that that's something that, especially in this day and age, we need to consider a lot, because I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of anger out there, right? It's on the street, it's in our hearts, because maybe we've been damaged by her family of origin, as the psychologists call it, our family, our mom, our dad, our sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, whatever. Maybe we've had a history of abuse, of any nature, of sexual abuse or mental abuse, which is, by the way, just as bad, physical abuse. All of these things combine to give us whatever our reaction to someone's aggression is. And it's very interesting to me to contemplate this kind of thing. We can, of course, justify our actions. Well, so-and-so said this about me. Okay, yeah, yes, they did. And it's our choice to respond to that, right? At all, let alone like how we respond to it, right? That's something that I think about quite a lot, especially, obviously, here we are on the internet, right? Which is notorious for people taking great joy in being cruel, just for the sake of being cruel. And I'm not gonna try to guess why that is, but in my mind, taking that second to breathe and not make the situation worse is harder work in its own way than just reacting or responding with hostility or anger, right? It takes more self-discipline. It takes more self-discipline to stop yourself for a second and take a breath and say, okay, I'm not gonna respond to that. I'm going to take a minute and think about my response. And this is really hard for me, I want to tell you. As someone who struggles with lashing out from time to time when I get really tired, and my life is such that I have a lot of stuff that's going on right now personally, and I'm tired, and when we're tired and we can't, not that I'm lucky enough that I can afford my lifestyle, I'm debt free and I'm happy about it, and, and all that, but there are a lot of people who aren't, and there's just all sorts of people who are not me. And so, considering that, I want to come up to this series of talks that were given by a lady by the name of Pema Chodron. She is a Buddhist nun, and the series is it's a series of CDs, if anybody remembers those. I don't know if you can get them digitally. I would imagine you can, but I don't know. But she said, when someone's lashing out in you in anger or rage, and they're saying the mean thing and all of that, instead of choosing to say the mean thing back, what we can do is observe and say, okay, this is somebody who's saying the mean thing, and maybe they're just generally always an unpleasant person, right? And then think about it. It's, how did they get that way, first and foremost? Because nobody is born like that, unless they had, like, physiological brain damage or whatever. People aren't born mean and nasty. They become mean and nasty because of circumstances, because of trauma, because of a variety of things, right? But considering, get curious, how did they get that way? And then the second part of the question, which is even more important in my mind, is, do you want to be that way too? All of us have moments of weakness. All of us have moments where we're just stressed, and I don't think there's anybody within the sound of my voice who hasn't said something that they deeply regret and wish they could take back, right? I mean, holy cow, my life is filled with those things that wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning with my freaking hamster wheel brain going to town, and oh crap, I said that. Oh crap, I did that. Oh yeah, I did. I can't deny it. That is my responsibility. I did that. And, that's just one of those things that as humans, yeah, I think everybody has done that, right? But even further into this, because I try to think of things in a microcosm and macrocosm. Microcosm being me and my little life, my small life on this big planet. And I tend to think of it as the microcosm, right? That's my little life. And then the macrocosm is like the world, right? The entire world. And there we go. And I think it's important that we recognize that right now our world is hurting, right? In a lot of ways. And when I get back to talking about sorry, I'm doing this. I'm splitting. You can see it. I'm splitting the bottom, so I can make this look a little fancy. When we talk about people on the internet, you can, all of us know that you can bounce in on anybody's thread, say just terrible things, and get away with it because nobody's there in front of you protesting. And there are, as we all know, we call them trolls. There are just people who just love going around and being cruel. And I tend to think of it in terms of these are people who have been damaged in their lives, maybe by their parents, maybe not. Maybe they were bullied at school. Whatever the reason is, they're choosing to be awful, and then you drill down a little bit deeper into this and you look at what's going on right now with politics and the idea that performative cruelty is the way to go. And the performative cruelty at the top creates performative cruelty as that trickles down. The trickle-down economics never worked, but boy, trickle-down cruelty seems to be a winner, huh? And I mean that with a tremendous amount of sarcasm. It is not a winner. It is not good. It is not good for our world. It is not good for other humans. It is not good for us on a spiritual level at all. I do not understand. I mean, intellectually, I see where it comes from, blah, 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 but like on a spiritual level, and as a person who tries to be kind, is not always, but tries to be, I do not understand how that in 2024 we can be cruel to people because of the color of their skin, because that is an accident of birth. And nobody can help that they're white or black or purple or hot pink or any of that, right? In my opinion. It's the same thing with the LGBTQ community, that there's no reason to hate somebody just because of what they do behind closed doors, who they love, who they care about. My whole thing is like, dude, if it's safe, sane, and consensual, okay, if it's of age, then who cares? It's none of your damn business. It really truly is not your business. It is not your business, and it is not your right to police other people. And for those people who claim to follow the Bible, which I do not, but I've read bits and pieces, there was a saying along the lines of, before you pick the mote from your neighbor's eye, remove the board from your own, meaning mind your own business. You're not perfect either, so mind your business and mind what you can control, right? And that's kind of where I look at things. I am all for true freedom in the sense of people being able to manage their own lives, people having autonomy, because I think that's what real freedom is. Freedom is not taking away people's autonomy. That is actually the opposite of freedom. And it boils back down again, coming back around to the theme of my comments here, to how you treat other people is about you, not about them. If you take great joy, I'm re-rounding this, by the way. I have this little plastic wine glass, and sometimes when I put a handle on, it'll get out of round because you're squishing. So I do this and re-round it so that I don't have a flat spot or it's not warped or whatever, and there you have it. Now I'm gonna, by the way, I'm gonna let this dry a little bit and I'm gonna put some more detail on it, but you can see how this goes. I think it's a pretty decent handle. Maybe a little bit big on this end, but I kind of dig it. Yeah. And I've cleaned up, if you can see, I've cleaned up some of these areas here. And I sort of like the flow that goes here. I like that. Anyhow, okay, next cup. How you treat other people is about you, not about them. And taking joy in creating suffering in other people is something that, we should not do. I mean, it seems like It seems like a no-brainer, right? And yet we're in a position where we either consciously or unconsciously do it all the time, right? We all have suffering, all of us. Um, Many of us lost people due to COVID. So there's quite a lot of trauma and loss and suffering that goes along with that, let alone the people who suffered before they passed. That affects families. That affects your outlook on life. It really does, you know. There are people who, you lost people due to suicide. You lost a job. You lost whatever, you lost a relationship. Someone betrayed you, someone cheated on you, someone lied to you that shouldn't have, your boss turned out to be a horrible jerk, whatever it is, we're all dealing with stuff every day, right? So at the very least, if you recognize that all of us are dealing with something that is not necessarily public, and we go forward in our lives, at least trying to make an effort to be kind to other people. I think that's a little bit steep. I think that it's a ripple effect that I would rather see in life, in our world, than the current ripple effect that seems to be happening right now in terms of more and more people just being mean for the sake of being mean, and causing suffering because really they're lashing out and they're suffering themselves, right? And we know that. And again, we don't have to do that. I was thinking about the situation in Texas with the border and all of that, and while I will preface this by saying I am not for open borders, I think that we can get a better handle on the immigration situation without actually causing other people to die, causing pregnant women to die with their kids, and all that. I mean, that is absolutely performative cruelty, as is putting 200 people on a bus who are wearing short sleeves and shipping them off into 4-degree weather. Because really, 200 people, okay, what is that actually going to solve? Like, you've got thousands upon thousands of people who want to be here in the United States because of, political situations in their own country, because they feel that there are, that they can actually live as opposed to being in their own country and having, situations where they can't even walk down the street without people shooting at them or whatever. Okay, I can't blame them for wanting to come here. I really can't. But we don't have to actually be murderous. It's crazy. We can be kind. We can deal with that in a way that does not remove actively other people's humanity, right? I mean, we can do it. And the idea that a woman can be stuck on barbed wire and drown and die in that way should horrify everybody. That should horrify all of us. And again, how we treat other people is about us, not about them. I keep hearing people say, oh, well, we're better than this. Well, clearly we're not. We're not better than this because it's happening. People who claim to be Christians, who claim to follow the words of Christ, are not. Plain and simple. And the hypocrisy of that is astounding. And I think we can do better. I think we need to do better than that. Again, I'm not perfect. And again, I'm not advocating for open borders, but we sure as heck can enforce our borders without homicide and without causing people to suffer, period. We don't have to take their kids away and not give them back and not have any way of giving them back. We don't have to have the cruelty built into everything. We don't have to do that. That is a policy choice. That is not something that just happened. Am I an expert on this? No. I will admit that. I'm just a simple potter. Anyway, I'm going to just keep going with this and get my handles all done on these cups. And I just leave you with that thought that, again, how we treat other people is always about us, not about them. I hope you have a lovely day. I hope that you're well. Talk to you soon. By the way, if you'd like to support my artwork, my ceramics, feel free to subscribe to this channel, first and foremost. Like and subscribe. Hit that like button. Also, I have my Shellhawks Creations Etsy store. So if you go to etsy.com/shop/Shellhawks Creations, you can go and acquire one of my lovely cups or other items. I do have some jewelry on there that I handmade and all of that. Also, you can go to my Patreon, also Shellhawks Creations. Instagram, same thing, Shellhawks Creations. And I have a Facebook page, Shellhawks Creations, Handmade Ceramics. So please like, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff that you're supposed to do in social media. And have a lovely one. Bye.